Hi, and welcome to our Notes on Life Processes. We're going to be doing this a little different than you may be used to. This is called the flipped classroom style. So you're going to be taking your notes on life processes at home on your own time, as opposed to taking them in class with me. You need to make sure that you write these notes down and that you develop and write down any questions that you have, so that when I see you in class come Monday, you can ask me these questions. We can go over anything you don't understand. We'll have more time in class to do practice and to make sure that you understand these words, as opposed to just listening to me lecture and then me giving you worksheets to do at home for them. So get your paper ready, get your pen ready, and here we go. Or dead. So in order to know them, we came up with a mnemonic device. Mrs. Grenth, this is my friend Mrs. Grenth, and she helps me to remember all of the life processes that there are. So you want to make sure that you write this down. So M stands for metabolism. Now you'll see there's 3 R's. They each stand for something different. It does not really matter which order you put them in. I just happen to put one of the more difficult ones first. Regulation. S stands for synthesis. G is easy, G is growth. Here comes our second R, respiration. Our third R, reproduction. E, excretion. N, nutrition. T, transport. And H, homeostasis. Now, you'll notice that Mrs. Grenth starts with an M and ends with an H. The M and the H are arguably the 2 most important words in life processes on this. M, your metabolism, which we'll get to in a second, is the most important process because it covers all of the rest of them. H, homeostasis, technically isn't a life process. It's not a process. It is not something you do. It is something you are. And again, we will get to that. So let's start with metabolism. This is the definition. All of the chemical reactions occurring within an organism. It is all of the life processes that happen in your body at any given moment, and how well they work and how fast they work together. When you see the word metabolism, a good way to remember it is all, you'll notice I bolded it, and Met. So all Mets fans are crazy because they like the Mets and they're not always that great. So all Mets, because metabolism is all of the life processes. And again, we're going to define them in a couple seconds, and you'll see that all of the processes are reactions. Something is happening during them. So while those processes are occurring, and they are occurring constantly within you, that makes up your metabolism. The best story that I can think of for this one is with my neighbor Georgie. When I was growing up, I had a next door neighbor, Georgie, and I hung out with him all the time. He was a couple years older than me. And I just remember this one time I was at his house and he ordered Chinese food. And I'm not kidding you. He got the big one, the quart of white rice, of a chicken and broccoli, and of a lo mein. And he ate them all in one sitting. Georgie was the skinniest person I knew forever. He was super tall and super skinny. He had a fast metabolism, so all of his life processes worked very quickly. His body took that food, transported it around after digesting it, sent it to where it needs to be, used it, burned it for respiration, and did all of these different processes with it in a quick manner. So there wasn't leftover food that could then be converted into fat. Me, on the other hand, especially for a very long time when I was younger, I had a slow metabolism. So if I tried to eat the same amount of food as Georgie, I would have gained a lot of weight. That's kind of when you hear people go, oh, I just smell food and I gain weight. Not true, but that would be maybe they have a slow metabolism, so when they eat, the food doesn't get used fast enough. So some of it becomes fat. This picture is just showing you how glucose gets metabolized. So you'll see it says you intake starch, glycogen, disaccharides, and monosaccharides. Those are the different ways that you will take glucose into your body, and we'll get to understanding those and what those mean when we do biochemistry. Then you'll see it says distribution, utilization. So we had to use it, we broke it down. and it became free glucose and it's moving all around your body, and then it gets stored as something called glycogen. Again, that will make sense later, but that's how we metabolize and use it. That's your metabolism. Regulation. It's another tricky word. Like I said in the beginning, it's one of the more difficult R letters here. I put the first three letters, the misses, tend to be the trickiest words for students. So, regulation is the coordination of two of your body systems, your endocrine system and your nervous system. It is how they work together to have you be who you are and have your body work the way your body is supposed to work. If it wasn't for these two body systems, nothing would happen, especially your brain. I mean, think about everything that your brain does every single day. And we will go into your brain and the different parts of it and the endocrine system and the different parts of it a little bit later on. But they coordinate and control. The only way I can think to remember this is to say, well, if you regulate the temperature in the room, that means you're controlling the temperature. So you're trying to keep it at 60 or 70 or 90 degrees. You're regulating it, you're controlling it. So regulation is the two systems of the body that are going to control your body. Obviously, your brain, which does this through neurotransmitters, and your endocrine system, which again we will get to, does this through hormones. Synthesis. Combining simple substances to make something complex. So you'll see you have two small hydrogens, one oxygen. That may be larger, but they're still small molecules. They're not even a molecule, sorry. You'll see one small hydrogen plus another small hydrogen and another small oxygen, all three small atoms, but when you combine them, you get a larger molecule. So the larger molecule is bigger than any of those three individual pieces. You're taking something simple, making it complex. You're taking something small and making it larger. You had a hydrogen and oxygen, and now you have a water. Synthesis is one of those words that from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, nobody ever seems to remember. This is a really important word. Put big stars next to it, or underline it, or bold it, or highlight it, because you will need to know this word. We've seen this word. You've seen it in 7th grade, and you're going to see it a few times this year. Photosynthesis. That's something we've had before. That's plants taking light and making food. So they're taking one substance and creating another. Chemosynthesis, using chemicals to make something else. Dehydration synthesis. These are all different ways that we're going to see this word throughout the course of the year. You'll see that poorly drawn red line between the syn and the thesis, because if we look at the prefix and the suffix, literally the word means to put together. Syn and thesis. If we look them up, it means to put together. Growth. Arguably the easiest word. So to increase in living matter, you're alive, you've increased either by increasing the cell size. So if you're a single-celled organism, otherwise known as a unicellular organism, you're one cell big, you grow. Well, if you're only one cell, you're not going to become 2 or 3 or 4. You're just going to become larger yourself. If you're not unicellular, you're multicellular. You're many cells. If you are many cells, you are going to increase in cell number. So this is a picture of you. This is a picture of you. You were once one cell. That's split into 2, 4, 8, 16, so on and so forth. You became bigger. You grew by getting more cells. When you were younger to now, you've grown in height. Again, because you've got more cells. Respiration. Respiration is a super important word that, again, is going to show up multiple times over the course of the year. It is not what everybody always thinks it is. Whenever we say respiration, everyone always thinks breathing, and we put those two things together. But they're not the same. Breathing is an inhale and an exhale, bringing in the oxygen and getting rid of the carbon dioxide. That is breathing. It is a physical action. Respiration is an internal process. So you've eaten food, and through respiration, you're going to break that food apart to release the energy inside of it. That energy is known as ATP. ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Again, we'll look at it and understand it a little bit more when we get to biochemistry. The chemical energy in food into usable energy. Usable energy is at ATP. The chemical energy in food is located within the bonds that hold the food together. Again, something we will look at in biochemistry. The reason I put a picture of a lady eating pasta up in the top corner is because she's eating pasta, which is a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are the very first source of energy that your body is going to use whenever you eat. There's carbs, there's lipids, and there's proteins. And carbs are the first and quickest source of energy that your body can get ATP from. If you're somebody who is on the track team or somebody who plays football, I'm not sure if any other sport really does this, but you may be aware of something called a carb party, where you have a meet or a game Saturday morning. Friday night, everybody gets together and eats tons and tons of pasta, spaghetti, noodles, whatever you want to call them. Because again, that is carbohydrates. It is a quick source. So they're going to eat them Friday night, and by Saturday morning, it will be digested, and the energy that your body has gained from it will be accessible to you during that track meet or during that football game. Now, there's two types of respiration. We have aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic is respiration that you do when there is oxygen present, and anaerobic is respiration that you do when there is no oxygen present. Our bodies can actually do both. Most of the time we are doing aerobic respiration, but every now and then we need to do anaerobic respiration. You guys are actually very lucky that you are doing these notes and you're watching this at home, because in the past when I've done this in class, I've made everybody get up out of their seats, and we do squats, and we hold squats till our legs start to burn, until the muscles ache. And that is your body starting to do anaerobic respiration. There's not enough oxygen present for all of your muscle cells to have oxygen, so they start to do it anaerobically. A good way to remember this is the RE stands for releasing energy. Okay, reproduction. There is two types of reproduction, sexual and asexual reproduction. It is when your body or when you as an organism create more of your own kind. So sexual would be what humans do and most other animals do, where you need two sets of DNA. And I don't say two parents, you need two sets of DNA. We'll get into why I say it that way when we do reproduction. Because don't worry, we will do a whole entire unit on reproduction. We're going to learn how you came to be. And then there is asexual reproduction. When you put that A in front of it, it kind of negates the rest of it. So you do not need two parents or two sets of DNA. You only need one set of DNA. Now take a second, look at the little comic to the side. I find it humorous. Hopefully you do too. Excretion. Excretion sounds like exit. Exit means leaving. So when you excrete, things are leaving your body. It is removal of metabolic wastes from your body. This is three different pictures, three different metabolic wastes. The first one is sweating. The second one is exhaling carbon dioxide. And the third one is urinating, getting rid of urine. Excretion is gases and liquids, again, as shown in the diagrams. And they're not just any waste products, they are metabolic waste products. These are waste products that are created from the metabolic processes that your body undergoes. Respiration is a metabolic process, and it creates CO2 as a waste product. Synthesis will create water as a waste product. Digesting foods could, depending on the food, again, we'll get there later in the year, and the path it takes can give you urine, which is a waste product. And it is extremely important that you're able to excrete these and get them out of your body. Otherwise, they will build up as toxins and they can cause you to become sick. We're up to our N, nutrition. Nutrition is the obtaining and processing of materials, meaning how you get the food and what your body does with the food. There are two modes of nutrition. Autotrophic, where you are an organism that makes your own food. Auto, on your own. Trophic, having to do with feeding. and heterotrophic, where you need to take food in from an outside source. You cannot make your own food. No matter how much you sit outside and lay in the sun, you are never going to be able to use that sunlight to create your own food source. You need to eat food, you need to put food into your body. Most people will right away go, ooh, autotroph, plants, heterotrophs, animals. But then if I ask you mushroom, people get stuck. A mushroom is also an example of a heterotroph. A mushroom does not have the special organelle inside of it that would allow it to create its own food. A mushroom is known as a decomposer. It's going to go onto something, put enzymes outside of its body on that organism, break it down. All of this is happening outside of the mushroom, while this exact same thing would be happening inside of your stomach. And then the mushroom will absorb those small nutrients. Now, how do you obtain and process it? There's 3 vocabulary words you need to know. The first one, ingestion, just like the frog did, means eating, taking the food in, literally in ingestion, putting it inside of you. Digestion, breakdown of the food. This happens in your mouth, in your stomach, in your small intestine. And then egestion, the removal of undigested wastes. Now, it sounds a lot like excretion. It kind of looks like excretion. And in both of them, you're getting rid of waste products. There is a big difference here. Excretion was your liquid and gaseous metabolic waste products, things that were created after processes occurred. Egestion is removing undigested waste material. This is your solids. This would be having a bowel movement. This is things that your body was unable to break apart or break down. This would be your roughage or your fiber. This is why you're supposed to eat a lot of greens. Those leafy greens are going to help. Corn is the best example I can give you for egestion. We've all eaten corn at least once in our life and then gone to the bathroom. And I don't need to know, you don't need to come in tomorrow and tell me, but probably every single one of you, after you've eaten corn, saw it that next day or later that day in the toilet bowl in your bowel movement. And it looked exactly like it looked when it went into your mouth. That's that outside kernel of the corn. We cannot digest it. Our bodies do not have the proper enzymes to break it down. So it goes in and comes out and looks the same. My daughter is 17 months old now, and I've never seen so much food go in and come out and looking the exact same, because she eats sometimes so much and so many things that her little body can't break down quite yet. Sorry if that grossed you out. Life. And here's our egestion picture. One way to also try to remember the difference between excretion and egestion was excretion is exiting, and egestion starts with EG, like eggs, and eggs sometimes smell bad to really people, and most of the time the removal of undigested waste products also smell bad to people. Sorry. Transport. The absorption and circulation of materials throughout your body. Transport essentially gets everything where it needs to be. Okay, there's 2 processes within your body that help to transport things: circulation and absorption. So circulation is going to move the materials, whatever that may be, whether it is nutrients or a waste product. It's going to move it around your body to where it needs to go. So the waste product, maybe to your kidney, maybe to your lungs, maybe to your skin. The nutrient, maybe to an organ or to your muscle cells. When it gets to where it needs to be, it will then be absorbed into that area, into the muscle cell for use, or the waste product will be absorbed into your kidney to then go and become part of your urine so that you can get rid of it. When we're talking about the life process of transport, we're talking about inside of your body. See, it says it right here, through the body. So I'm not talking about you driving a car somewhere. I'm not talking about you walking from one location to the next. I'm talking about when things are moving around inside of you. Last but not least, homeostasis. It is, remember, not a process. It is a state of being. It is a condition of a constant internal environment, the maintenance of dynamic equilibrium, of your body being balanced. So if I said, how are you feeling today? and you said happy. That would be your homeostatic condition. You're happy. How did you get there is the process. You got a good night's sleep and you had a great breakfast and then you saw all of your friends today, so you're happy. Happy is your state of being. How you got there is the process. Just like all of Mrs. Grant is a process, and homeostasis is a state of being. An example here, we have the snake. Snakes are cold-blooded. They can't balance their body temperature. So when they need to get warm, just like the snake is doing, they lay out on the rock in the sun. When he starts to get too hot, he's then going to go inside that little crevice and hide, and without the sun on him, his body temperature will be able to cool down. He's keeping a balance. You haven't eaten in 24 hours, you feel a little dizzy and lightheaded, you don't feel so good. Your blood sugar levels are really, really low. So you're going to eat some food, and that will bring your blood sugar level up. You feel better. You're hot, you sweat. You sweat, now this evaporation starts to happen and the sweat starts to leave your body, so you start to feel cooler. Well, now you're too cold, so now you shiver. And shivering moves the muscles and it starts to warm you up a little bit. All of those things are ways that your body tries to maintain homeostasis. Well, that's our notes. If you missed anything or you didn't understand anything, it's a video. Press pause, rewind it, go back, press pause, make sure you get it down. Don't worry, we're also going to be going over these in class. There's going to be a lot of activities and different things for you to do so that you could hopefully get a better understanding of these words. And I'll see you in class. Bye.